Right, it's January 16th, 2024. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call when you're ready.
Nielsen,
Here.
Northway,
Here.
Pop,
Here.
Veras,
Here.
Van Meter, here.
Adoption or amendment to the agenda. I'm gonna have to make some amendments. Should I just go ahead and speak for you, Doc?
Yeah, sure.
Under the reports, before alphabetically, airport, we're gonna put roads. It's not on there now, and we're gonna add it to the beginning of the list so that, Bruce can get out of here. And then, there is insurance, and maybe add that topic to the financials. And, Ironman, maybe under, new business. Just a quick update. Anyone else have an amendment to the agenda? With those three amendments, I move that we accept the agenda as presented. All in favor, say aye.
Do you have support?
Oh, forgot support.
I'll
Support, okay. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, thank you. Conflict of interest declarations at this point?
I will, as I explained in the December regular board, my competing interest to become airport manager may impair my ability to decide a public question objectively or independently.
Okay, thank you, and I think we're gonna discuss that more as we get down to the airport issue. Any other conflicts of interest to declare? Thank you. Minutes? On the first page, David Blessing has got a G on the
I
end.
didn't have the list of who was here, so I wasn't sure, but I thought, yeah, I circled that one.
And then you have other titles for people, so I thought in front of Brian Halliday's, you could put support staffer. And I didn't know what you meant by underlining on page 6 at length. Is that just for emphasis? It's,
Yes,
oh, okay, just for emphasis. And then very last on page 7, the paragraph that deals with Open Meetings Act and minutes schedule, the last line, approval of the is draft made.
okay.
Not sure what that was, it just typing too fast, probably.
Probably take out is.
Approval of the draft
Is
made,
I put it in the wrong place.
okay, is made at the next month. Anybody else with some corrections to the minutes? I move that we accept the minutes as presented with those slight corrections. Do I have support?
Support that too.
Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, thank you. Next is correspondence. We have one here from Craig Cederholm. Like to draw your attention to the date that it was written, December 20th. And then in his last paragraph, he says if this bond is not officially signed off prior to November 1st, 2023, it's a little goofy there. I think that the zoning administrator has given that over to the lawyer. So that will be one of his first priorities when we get there. Any other correspondence or any other comment about the correspondence? All right, moving along. County Commissioner?
Good evening. I had a short report. You have it in print up there. It will be posted online, and unless someone on the board has a question, I'll be short and sweet tonight.
I just wanted to note that I could not find the airport manager's position on the website.
Okay, I will follow up with that tomorrow morning. The information was given to HR, and I believe I sent an email to Corey Carland, who is the chair. of the airport authority. She needed to have the job description and the letter of resignation. I don't know that she posted that part, but she just needed it for file. And it is posted on the windows as you walk in the county building.
To the county. building.
Mhm.
So any other places we know that it's,
And not that I know from the county, but I did double check, and make sure that it was available for the county, the last board, so
okay, thanks.
sorry, I didn't check to see that it was there.
Any questions for Karen at this point? Pretty straightforward, thank you. Fire and rescue, hi.
Okay, each of you got my report in front of you. It's basically a summary of, 2023 as we go. Right now, a couple updates. So we now have 40 runs already so far this month. We're moving right ahead. For medical, when it hit the deer over here, is going in on Tuesday to get repaired. Parts come in, they spray painted up and they're ready to go. So it's only down a day. I'll just snap the parts back on it and hopefully by 5 o'clock I'll pick it up. Other than that, next Thursday, the fire board is gonna be loose. I try to get a hold of you and your email keeps bouncing back at me. I don't know why.
Yeah, it would do.
It'll be on, Thursday, the 25th at 6 P.M. at the fire station. I know you're on firefighting.
Thursday, when again?
Thursday, the 25th at 6 P.M. Not this coming, not a week, right, on the 25th, so we got a week out.
Okay. Thank you.
And, I'm working on getting all the SCBs, as you know, I'm gathering SCBs together for, unapproved and improved properties. Everything else is the formula I got together because any numbers are already, you didn't have reports.
And then you and I spoke because the meeting comes a little later and we just upped everything about 10%, et cetera.
We'll see where we gotta go at that point. Like I said, I'm trying to find, I gotta work on a city budget 6 months in advance, and I'm given a spreadsheet to kind of gather it. I'm literally looking at something that is subject to change, because like Chris says, I have no idea what the income is gonna be. You know, they said they have no idea what the income is gonna be for the city, with the new mill and everything, so it's like, what's our budget gonna be? I don't know. I think I should get started.
I know, it's all bad. Thank you. Any questions for Mike? All right, public comment at this point. If you have a public comment, will you stand? No public comment. Okay, financials, you're up.
Any questions on the reports given? Motion for approval of the December post-audit payroll expenditures. So Crystal Lake Township Board approves payment of salaries and wages per the attached payroll summary for December 2023 with a total of $12,737.67. I so move. Do I have support?
Yes,
Any discussion?
do I do the roll call?
Yep.
Okay. Ferris,
Yes.
Nielsen,
Yes.
Northway,
Yes.
Pop,
Yes.
Van Meter, yes.
All right, that motion is carried and duly adopted. Thank you. Insurance, you want to take the lead on that?
Just a minute. We received a summary of our insurance coverage. It'll be renewed on February 7th of this year. And the quoted premium is $8,321. And it is included on the warrant report.
I forget if have we okayed that separately before, or do we just add it to the warrant report and okay? Okay. Anybody have any questions about the insurance? All right, warrant report then.
We've had some additions since it was printed on Friday. The Anavon for the security camera installation. There were 2 invoices for that, so an additional $288.13 was added there. I submitted a mileage reimbursement for my training last week of $47.17. We received another invoice from Spectrum Printers for an additional $585.74. And we received the fire fund bill of $29,378.76. So the new total for the general fund is $15,522.35. The cemetery fund total is $145.52. And the fire fund total is $29,378.76.
I make a motion to approve.
Any seconds?
I'll second it.
Okay. Any discussion? You want to take roll call, please?
Pop,
Yes.
Ferris,
Yes.
Northwood,
Yes.
Nielsen,
Yes.
Van Meter, yes.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions about the financials? All right, I think you're up, Bruce.
Great.
Yeah. Roads, this is for roads.
I am Bruce Walton, and I'm one of the members, representatives from Crystal Lake Township.
Speak up.
On the asphalt roads for Benzie County and for the township. And they had a report on the first of, or the 9th of this month. And the money that they raised in the millage, which had passed, was $1.45 million, and 150 to 200,000 of that goes towards winter primary maintenance. That's what was part of the deal, and then the rest of it is split 50% for primary, for federal roads, your big primary roads, and the other 50% goes to county roads, divided up, and they had their meeting in, I've got a chart here if somebody's interested at the end of the roads that they chose. There was like 6 out of the 12 townships showed up. And it was approved what the road commission had come up, what was going to be done. And then if there's anything extra, they'll come back. They don't know what the price of everything's gonna be. So they have certain roads already picked. I'll leave a thing that they can put up on the board there. You can see what the picture of the roads are going to be. The cost of asphalt is around $75 a ton. It's pretty much similar to last year, so that's one good thing. To do a mile, it costs between $105,000 and $110,000 to do a mile. That's no overlay, which is about 1.5 inches. And the price changes if they have to add more in certain areas, and then you also have to add for road gravel for the shoulder of the road to bring it up to where the road, the addition of the road is. And then chip seal is a thing that the road commission is going into to try to keep up with the roads that are being done now over the years. And if they're good, and the chip seal prices was done from the company that did the 115 here, and they did North Shore, Crystal Lake. And
People don't like that surface very well. Is that the surface
Yeah.
that we're talking about? Yeah.
well, it's
Pretty
because
noisy.
they use slag, and that's why it's a noisier snow and it lasts longer. After when this hasn't been a tested winter where the blade's been going down on it, but it'll grind it down. A good example is 8 or 9 years ago, we did Cox Road and Michigan Avenue. They tarred and chipped that. And it was rough at first. I mean, you didn't want to ride your bike and fall. on the road, but over the years, and the road lasted a long time. So, but the one thing that I noticed is it was noisier. I lived up on the hill and you could hear the humming of the cars there. And so when it's to be tested, over time, it's gonna smooth down, but that's supposed to keep the road. They said up to 7 to 8 years. It helps improve it. And so they're going to be doing a lot of it out on, the county roads. But they have to be crack sealed first. And they didn't give a price on the crack seal at this meeting, but we got a bunch, we have almost all of our roads crack sealed up to this last year. I think we started with Lindy Road, Carlson Road was the first one that we tested on, and this is its third winter. And the crack seal's been holding up really good. But they are not gonna do any tar and chipping, and they'll go over the roads to see if it needs any other touch-up with asphalt before they do anything. So they're going into it, and that's something that our board, our representatives are gonna look into to see if that's what we wanna do. We have some money, we didn't spend any money on roads last year, and we didn't spend all our money the year before, but we did spend the money on crack sealing. And I went over some of it, and the only road that I noticed that wasn't crack sealed yet was, Forester Hill, a part of it. We did that many years ago. They recommend to go back at least 5 years to put the seal coat on. We also have a fund that comes from the road commission that all the townships get. And it's the local participation policy and the formula, and we get $14,897 a year. And we've got 3 years, we haven't used it. You gotta use it or lose it, so we have to use at least, you can't bank but 3 years. So we've got, 2022, we got at least use $14,899. We do have some stuff, they're coming up with their budget, and, we do have intersections over by Marquette and Birchwood Terrace that the money could go to for the intersection you guys approved.
I didn't know we could use that. We can, huh?
Yep, you can use it anything for any kind of maintenance this money. Gravel, I think I got it on here, gravel, tubes, signs, tar and chipping, asphalt, you can use it for anything that's for repairing on the roads.
Good there.
And if they can't, they'll let you know, but you can use a lot of the money. So just to let you know that in your budget thing, you might want to put money towards something like that to use up at least that $14,900. And, so on this, back to that chip seal, it's between $32,000 and $36,000 per mile compared to the $110,000, so it's a third of the cost. And we used to do it when I used to work for the road commission, and back in the day when they had the money in the 70s, they would do it every 5 years to keep the roads up. Well, as time went on, that's why our roads got so messy. Now we had to get the 2 millages to fix the roads up. And now we've gotten ours all done, except for South Shore. And that's a primary road that's up to the road commission to do. So, and that's what they would probably do to it. It's not on the list, it's not on for next year's list, that road's been holding up.
Yeah,
Years
it seems
because of-
great.
Speed of the traffic, 25, and then in winter time it isn't traveled as much. So, but they say it's, so that's different than the roads can be extended for 7 to 8 years. So it's a little cost effective of what we got going on, and, 9 years, we've done all the roads, but the 3.5 miles there, and, now that it's done, it was an interesting process, it's good that we had it, and in general, they've done a good job, and now it's time to keep it up. So it's what the board, Doc and I and Al were on the board here, and we're gonna look into deciding what we wanna do. Some people aren't for the tar and chip, but the tar and chip is different. It used to be dusty and it chips, and now they use different stuff, it packs in more. They can do, when they get on the road, they can zip right along. And then there's a certain period of time they gotta let it set, and then they put a fog seal on. That's that dark seal on there that keeps it from being dusty. So they've got the process down. I don't have a problem with it. I seen what this did out here, did a wonderful job. Biggest thing is the noise. And it's not that bad. It's like you got your snow tires on in the summertime. But I do hear the traffic more, the humming of the tires. But it's improving and keeping up the roads. It's a cheaper way of keeping it up over time, because our roads are holding up good.
True, yeah, good job.
So, that's pretty much what's there. We're gonna get together here shortly. The road commission is looking into the tire and chipping process, and within a month. They want to know what's going on. The more they put onto the state one, the ones that did the state here, they're the best ones in the state. And that's the ones that would be doing the county roads. And so the more the ads on there, the cheaper the price.
Is that Reed Riley?
No, it's not. I forgot the name. I didn't write it down, but it's now that Elmer sold to Reed and Riley, we don't have as many bidders. So now is the time to kind of get in on a tire and shipping while it's cheaper. But then they're not doing the asphalt, they're doing the asphalt. We were fortunate that we had them out millage, and we've gone over all our roads. And we got, the last one we got done, the road commission paid for Lob Road, which was, we were looking for a long time, and they were trying to get money through the tribe. And they did the Band-Aid job down around the steep hill there, and they went back over it again, and they did a decent job. They weren't, the road commission didn't go for it as much because they were smaller, and it took time, instead of 2 days, it took 3 days, so. And sometimes it leaves marks when they connect, because it cools off. So that's, what was reported from the meeting, and,
Well, thank you for going to the meeting. Thank you, Al and Doc, for great work, and Bruce for doing all the work. Any questions for this committee? Do you have a copy of that little note thing that you were reading from for Judy to make?
I
minutes from?
give one to Doc, and I can print some off after the meeting.
We'll get a copy here. Thanks.
Right.
All right,
I'll
thank
give
you.
you some out too. I didn't have the color for the color part, so I gotta get some from my Bobby color.
Okay, we're done with roads. Next is airport. There was no meeting in December, so we don't have the usual packet. Job posting. Anybody interested? I printed that off. I don't think that there's much difference between the job description the last time they hired a manager and this time, but I think they tweaked it a little bit. And we are still looking to see where this is posted and what the procedure officially is. Anybody know?
Is that a question to me?
Yeah,
It was posted here at the township. It was posted at the city.
where's it posted here?
We gave it to you.
It was posted at the county. It was posted on the door of the airport, and that will come out in Frankfort paper tomorrow.
And where else? Anything else?
I've got to get a hold of the Traverse City Record Eagle, and the MAAE said that they would post it for us.
Okay, so the two websites that you originally mentioned, Brooke, those are out? Or,
I don't know. I'm not on that committee.
so this is due on the 20th of February? And again, we don't have anybody here that can answer this stuff, so.
What answer was?
Any other places that originally we were told there were two kind of pilots association websites that they were gonna be advertised on?
I haven't heard back from Eric, who was gonna see about the Pilots Association. But the MAAE covers the whole state of Michigan, I believe, Ohio and Indiana.
So, okay, so, it's posted in buildings, on the windows or the doors. You're gonna advertise it in the Record Patriot
Yes.
and the Record
If I can
Eagle.
get a hold of the Record Eagle, it'll be tomorrow. But I don't know how soon they'll post it once I give it to them.
Okay, any other questions about the job description itself? I didn't post it here. I just put it into the packet. Next, conflict of interest. There've been a little, you did a nice job of bringing it to the meeting. We still have a couple questions, I think, about what exactly the thing is that we do with that conflict of interest. You declared the interest, the conflict, I mean, but that really didn't help us to know what to do with the conflict. What's the action we take from now on? To me, there seems to be two positions that you hold. One is the treasurer, and one of the board that is a third owner of the authority or member of the authority. And then the other is as a member of the authority. And so I think that there are two branches there, and I don't know how to deal with the conflict of interest. You're applying basically to yourself in both situations. So I'd like to know, like, what is it exactly you think is the conflict of interest, so that we have that on record?
I stated that in length at a prior meeting.
Right, what's the conflict that you would not be able to, or you would be able to? Can you judge as a member of the board or a member of the authority? Or can you not? Are you influenced? Is it something that you could not be objective about?
I stated that I couldn't be objective.
So where do we go from here?
I don't know.
Well, first of all, you're applying for the job.
Correct.
I think there's a conflict of interest in applying for the job. Let's say you get the job, then I think there's a conflict of interest there because you're your own boss.
Right.
So, board, what do we do about this?
Well, I think it would come up when and if she gets the position.
Okay, that's one half of it.
Yeah.
And you're saying, don't decide that, deal with it when we cross that
There's
bridge?
nothing to deal with right now. We have no idea whether she even gonna get the position.
Okay, that's one opinion. How about applying for the job?
I think, people apply for jobs all the time. They don't always get them.
No, I'm talking about the conflict of interest,
I don't think there.
which
there's
she's
nothing-
both on the authority and the board of trustees here.
I don't think there is a conflict unless that occurs. But not the applying, but getting the position. That would
Okay,
be a
then why did she just bring it all up? I mean, I think she
I
just
don't know. I
agreed
don't
that
know.
there
To
is
me,
a,
it's premature.
okay, anybody else? Am I the only one that thinks that applying for the job to yourself in two different capacities is not a conflict of interest?
But I don't know what we do with it. I mean, I agree with Dr. Nielsen. I mean, until she actually gets the job, yes, the applying is a conflict, but her status right now is the same as it has been.
So
She's a
she
rep
can
and
apply
she's a
for
treasurer.
herself as a member of the board, I mean, the authority?
I don't see her as applying to herself.
Who's gonna make the decision on who gets this job?
The
There's an
three
interview.
people that are the committee, Dick, right?
They're the search committee, as I understand. They're not the people, just like we
I
have a search.
I don't know
committee.
who makes the decision.
The board, the authority does, right? Isn't that who hires?
Can I explain the procedure?
Yeah.
What happens is on the 20th of February, everyone that's interested in it has to have their application in to Eric Purple. At that particular time, the 3 members, actually technically, there's 4 people on the committee. I'm on the committee, but I have absolutely no vote in it whatsoever. It's just the 3 members of the authority. So let's say we get, you can take any number that you want to throw out there arbitrarily, but let's say we get 20 applicants. The 3 members of the committee that's looking at these boils that down to whatever they decide, 4 or 5. And then those 4 or 5 will get winnowed down to 2 or 3. And then I think the way it's set up is the final vote would be of those 3 to the board. But until those 3 people are there, you don't know whether the person that's applying for it is gonna be Mike or Al or Karen or me or whatever, because I can still apply for that position also. It's a free country and I'm a citizen of the United States and it's anyone can apply for that position that wants to.
I
You
thought
can't
you were
just-
resigning.
Well, I am, but I'm saying that I can still apply for it if I chose to. I probably won't, but legally I can. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay, and so I think you just proved my point. How does somebody remain objective when all that's going on? Somebody who might be applying, and she says she is applying, is also going to be the person who's on the board
The
and,
easiest way to do that is when the final vote comes, just recuse yourself.
yes, but do you think that that's really realistic?
Why wouldn't it be?
Because I think that you're intertwined with that whole process all along. And you've been on the board and you have friends and people
Well,
have a hard time
I think,
dealing with that.
I think you've got a copy of what's required of the position. I don't happen to have it in my hand right now, but I've read it. And everyone that applies for it is gonna be subject to that same thing.
You don't get that somebody being on the board might have some sort of,
Not really. It'd be the same thing as, you having a friend here and they want to be, the airport manager and you come to the meeting and talk to us and try to convince us of your way of thinking. I don't see where there's a difference.
does anyone else see this as a conflict of interest?
You're not soliciting opinions from the audience. are you?
No, we're not. Sorry. Well, I thought that there was expressed some conflict of interest here.
If she gets the position. Then
I think
yes.
she should resign from the authority. Even applying for it is a conflict of interest or an appearance of the conflict of interest. No one else has a opinion about that?
I've already expressed my opinion, I think we should move on, unless you're willing to make a motion or something.
I'll go ahead and make a motion then. I move that we remove Brooke as she has expressed possible conflict of interest in applying for this job. That we remove her because she's applying for the job and there is that possible conflict of interest. And that we find a representative to replace her while she applies. And then I think I have suggestions what we do if she gets the job too, but let's take this one at a time. Do I have support for that?
I'll support that, but I wanna know if she gets the job, do you then withdraw from treasurer?
I don't have plans to at this point.
At that point, I can see how there would be a conflict of interest for sure.
Quite possibly.
What
But I
would be the
will-
conflict of interest then?
I'm not going to entertain that thought yet. One hurdle at a time.
The reason I would push that is that you're talking about applying for something, and then if you get the job, and then their board decides that that's a conflict of interest, then you'd say, well, then I don't take the job. Or maybe I do take the job. It's like, but wouldn't you want to know the consequences step by step? I would. Not just as putting myself in your shoes, but I would, as a board member, want to know what the steps are. How do you pay yourself to do that? When you're on an advisory board, that's the authority that runs the airport.
Sorry about that.
We don't have a contract with the airport. The township does not.
It doesn't, but you certainly had this long narrative that had several of your opinions in it. You're saying that we're financially responsible. We don't have a, what is it called, a memo or a memorandum of understanding. You did a nice job of getting all those votes recorded, but there's like 7 different votes to join the in different aspects of that paying money, but there's no official thing that says we joined them and what the terms are. Unless somebody's
I
signed it.
think you should probably send this on to the new attorney.
Yeah, I think so too. So, but there is a motion on, and there is support. Are there any other discussion?
Yes. I have a question.
Yes.
As it sits right now,
Mhm.
do you have the township's best interest at heart?
I do.
I have a question. Do you also have your own personal interests at heart? You don't have your best interests at heart personally?
That's a personal question. I don't think it's germane.
It points exactly to the conflict. That's what we're talking about. You have conflicting interests. You have conflicting interests for your
I think
personal
that's
life and one for
established.
the township. I'm sorry, what?
I think that's been established.
Well, I had to make the point because you didn't bring it up yourself. That is the conflict, the very thing we're talking about. So,
So do I get a vote on this?
I don't know. That's a good question. Yeah, I think you do.
Or is this the initial stage of refusal? She withdraws from this vote right here.
I don't know. What do the rest of you think?
I didn't hear what he said.
He said this is the recusal that she talks about, that she has a conflict of interest.
And can't vote.
Yeah,
From
but I
the
don't
previous
know.
meeting, you're referencing the stuff she presented last month. Right?
Right. And so we're, can she vote on her own removal from the authority?
I will abstain.
Thank you. That's a very nice thing to volunteer.
And I don't think she can, based on the information from last month. I'm sorry. I mean, you can abstain,
Okay,
but
I'm sorry, you're
The
saying
whole-
that she should abstain, or based on last month, she shouldn't abstain?
she should recuse herself or abstain or based on last month's information.
Okay. And in addition to that, she voluntarily is abstaining. Any other discussion? Does everybody understand what we're voting on and what everybody's positions are?
What's the motion? Repeat the motion.
That she be removed from the authority at this juncture. Because even applying is a conflict of interest. All right, I think roll call, I hate to do that to you, but it's probably important.
Just a minute.
Okay.
Nielsen,
No,
Barris,
Yes.
Van Meter, no. Northway,
Yes.
Okay, the motion fails because it's 2-2. I'll just say it again, that I think that, she should not have that freedom to have that conflict of interest, and we will probably, discuss this when we get down to the attorney, whether this is an issue that goes to the attorney. Okay, Bill and I set up an appointment to talk to the mayor and the, manager of Frankfort, Josh and Joanne, about the airport. We wanted somebody who had answers. Because every time I ask a question, I get a different answer from a different person. And the long and short of that meeting was they didn't know a thing either. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
They didn't know who had the answers, who had the records. I think Josh himself brought up the whole thing about dues. And he said, oh, I got one message from Michelle Thompson that we owed $3,000 per month or per year, excuse me. And he said, I've never heard of this before. Show me where it says that. And he has never heard from Michelle again. So that's kind of how the meeting went. I asked him about whether we had a contract or a memorandum of understanding. He didn't know. We had lots of questions for him. The result was he was going to try to get a meeting with Corey to sit down, that we would all be there. So that's where that's left. Any other things about the airport? Next is a B&G update, and I'm not sure that we have Brian here, so we're gonna skip that for now until he comes in. Do you want to deal with budget now, or should we get rid of a lot of other things first? Get rid of other things first, or just tackle? All right, let's tackle it then. You have the sheets of paper that are stapled together probably for each of the funds.
You want me to go first?
Yeah, do you wanna take the general fund? That's the biggie. So,
No, I mean the notes we made.
Yeah.
You go first.
yeah,
My name is Jill Marble, and I worked with Amy, and I want to give a shout out to Brian. He was super helpful in the IT portion of the budget and in the building and grounds part, and his background, he's got some budgeting. So Brooke wrote us an email, and I've got a couple answers for her. The FICA for the treasurer should have been 2,100. That was my fault. So that would go back up to what you wanted. The treasurer also requested her supplies be at 2,500, and we adjusted it to 2,000, just based on your spending the past 5 years. You've never come close to 2,500. So that was the only reason we adjusted it. If you want the money in there, it can sit there. Is that your wish?
it's fine.
Okay. The next things that we worked on, and this is absolutely nothing bad against Brooke and her reports. It's just for a very long time, she's the only person that has done a real deep dive in the reports and the cost centers, if that's the right word. But now that we've actually, with a couple years of experience, we're looking at it and we're understanding it better. And we had Brian's eyes on it. We noticed that there's FICA, and so we want Brooke and Judy to sit down with us and see if our points make sense and maybe the changes could happen. We found FICA in 14 different places. Some places it was deputies, not others. The only clerk that had a deputy FICA, only the clerk had a deputy that had the FICA broken out. And we either need to make it a lump under each officer, or we make it FICA somewhere, but it's spread out through the report and it's not consistent.
There is only one FICA per department. I
So
promise.
you would roll the clerk, the deputy clerk's FICA, you just make that under the clerk.
Correct.
Like
It's
the rest
clerk
of them.
department.
Okay,
So under each cost center, like for the, for me,
there'd be one FICA and it'd
For
be
you?
you and me.
okay,
As long as we're consistent in the way it's done,
We are,
except for the one error.
which.
The clerk has it broken out for the deputy. And we're saying, let's just make it one way or the other.
That wouldn't be possible because there's only one account number for FICA.
It's the same account number. For the clerk and
Oh, I
the
see.
deputy.
Okay.
okay, so can we
Yeah,
get rid
that's,
of that? Is that we combine it with
Well,
the,
we're not even using that account, the deputy clerk, but I don't know why that's on this report.
okay,
It's
so
not
we
even
would,
in use.
just saying. We
so
noticed some
we'll
stuff.
clear that up when we meet together?
Yeah.
Does that sound good?
The other thing that we noticed, and this would be for Judy and Brooke. Supplies, our recommendation is that it go all under general government. There be one office supply category. Instead of whatever the proration is, that has to be super subjective.
If you were to read the Michigan, let's see here, Michigan Department of Treasury Uniform Chart of Accounts.
Okay,
Each department needs their own supply.
how do you spread, and we can have this conversation off, not tonight, just the four of us sit down. I don't think everybody.
Election supplies are election supplies, clerk
Okay.
supplies are clerk supplies, mine supplies are mine.
How do you divide envelopes between all the different categories?
If election needs envelopes, that box goes to elections. It's pretty easy.
I look at the chart of accounts. We just thought you could have drill downs in the one line item and have the supplies all.
And another thing, so the PTAF, property tax admin fee, the 1%, that covers assessing, treasurer, and board of review. That also covers our supplies.
Okay,
So you can't break those out. I did discuss with Brian, because I think your goals, it sounded like was to monitor trends or something like that. You can create an account in QuickBooks and pull out supply items from each department
well, that's what,
or software and follow it that way.
and we realized we could run a report that would lump it all together when we want to see it. But we were looking at how would the public look at this and get a better understanding of what we're spending, because right now the software licenses are lumped in there too.
My software is under my department.
And so Brian recommended, being an IT guy, that there be IT software licenses
Certain licenses are under
and be
IT.
lumped under one. Why can't that be one thing? The
Each
office uses
department
it.
should be accountable for their own expenses. And by having we're gonna use the treasurer, for example.
Okay,
So by having departmental budgeting offers more control over spending at a department level. It also allows greater oversight by you, the board.
so do you want Microsoft licenses? Because everybody's using it.
And isn't QuickBooks being used by everybody?
That's under accounting. That's not under.
Okay, so you're talking about the BSNA, is that what you're saying is the treasurer?
Right,
And
and then the
that's-
assessor has her own, I have my own. We all have certain softwares that we use, and that should be under my department if that's my software.
But you don't think there's any that go across the office?
If there is, then it's under IT.
Okay. We see that this, talking to Sandra on this one when I was in the office, there's going to be refunds coming in for elections. And we assume
That's income.
that it will have its, because we've never been
Yes, we
reimbursed.
have.
Will you let me finish? We've not been reimbursed for personnel. and there's gonna be a big chunk coming back, so we figured there's gonna be a clean line item in revenue for that, correct?
There's a line item for that.
Okay,
It's, yes,
Is it different than the special elections?
that is it.
but this isn't a special election.
That is where the auditor
Okay,
puts it.
so he may recommend that it be split out into general election.
I don't think saying special election reimbursement means reimbursement just for a special election.
Right,
It's whether a noun or.
it's an election reimbursement. That's where those will go.
Okay,
So, and we will not discount the expenditures anticipating those figures.
Right. I get that. When we started and couldn't get the budget done for the last meeting, part of it was, and I was here watching it, Amy trying to log into QuickBooks is incredibly problematic.
That's why I removed the password for her, so all she would have to do is put in a user ID.
But the only thing that I could see she's got access to are those canned reports.
She can create her own reports.
Why can't she have full look access, not be able to change anything?
It's not available.
I find that very hard to believe, that there can't be access.
You're free to contact QuickBooks.
But that's your answer to us, that we're free to contact. And one of your answers to us was, I've gone as far as I can to help you. You guys need to figure it out. So my request is, we would never get that answer from Brian. He would sit with us all day if he had to call QuickBooks to help us. And I thought months ago, there was a resolution to give him administrative rights to QuickBooks.
He has that.
Not according to Brian,
He and I spoke. He has it.
so he can get in there
Yes.
and help us get to what we need to get to.
He doesn't need he can help you with the passwords. That's what the administrator aspect is. As
Okay,
far as reports, I'm sorry. You've been working with QuickBooks here at the township for 12 years or so. Reports are, I have to draw the line. I've been
You're not
helping
the-
and
you
helping
are
and
not the
helping.
keeper of QuickBooks.
Correct. I'm not.
So how
You
can
have
you say
access to it.
no to her to have access? And you talk about all these drill downs where we could look at
She has
specific
access
invoices.
to all the information. She has everything. It's not my fault. She doesn't know how to use it.
You're telling me we could go in and inquire in a company and start drilling down and answer our own questions on what goes into the special election fund?
Yes, you can.
I also would point out that when I asked Judy just the other day, she said she couldn't get in, tried 4 times. There's widespread problems with this.
I don't have a problem.
And I know Sandra doesn't
Yeah.
either. She said her password has worked since she came here. And
Mhm.
so there's something.
And I couldn't get in on Friday, but it looked like somebody else was using it. That was the message that was
Mhm.
there, but it didn't make sense for me to then use Sandra's laptop and I got in.
Right.
Which made no sense. to
Yeah,
me.
but
So,
wasn't, there's gotta be.
If I have problems, I contact QuickBooks. I'm not going to contact QuickBooks for you. I'm sorry, I can't do that. That's not,
Well, and I want you guys to be able to move on. I would love to sit down with Judy and you and talk about what we discovered. Are you willing to do that?
what is it that you've discovered? I'm not following.
I want to look at FICA. I want to look at our questions. Are you willing to sit down with us?
I have and I will.
Okay, that's all I want to know. The end.
All right, any questions for Jill?
gonna end it just like that.
I just want to make a comment. I did a extremely rough estimate on wages for the August and November election.
Okay.
I got a higher amount than what you have, but you've accommodated with the total there. So I think,
And so this is under elections,
yeah,
and
I think
so,
that 39,000 will be sufficient.
Okay, but the election, wages, we have at 24,900.
I came up with 26,200.
Okay.
Would you like us to change that?
It's up to you. I mean,
Well, that's
Sure.
what we're doing right now.
I'd rather be
Yes.
safe.
yes. And that's only if we're done by midnight. If we
Okay.
go past midnight, then there'll be higher costs.
Now, that's not
On
going to
election day.
include, because we just said this, didn't we? That is not going to include the rebate. We're not gonna.
Correct.
Right.
Right.
I'm
You
just
can't
looking
count
at
it.
expenses.
What was the figure again, Judy?
29 or
26,200.
Okay.
If you want to start at the beginning, do you want to, anybody have any problems with any of the numbers there?
I did have some questions that you didn't answer in my email.
Okay,
Capital improvement projects of the 16,000 being transferred from general to the cemetery. Do you have any information on that to share?
yeah, we do have a, buildings and grounds, but the capital improvements committee is yet to meet in this month. Do you want to speak to that, Greg, at this point?
Not sure what meeting you're referring to.
The capital improvements committee meeting?
You mean the planning commission?
Yeah,
We approved our capital improvement plan in August of last year. And, I couldn't find it on the website. Any of you that have discussed it, but I'll talk to Tom tomorrow. And that was approved and it was to be sent to you, so we'll be looking at it again later in the year.
okay, so, and you probably haven't looked at this budget,
At Brian's,
so
all his
I,
recommendations for improvements,
No, we have.
it's a really well put together list. HVAC's big, our heating system. He says it's all but done.
yeah, I can pass this out right now if you want, he's not here yet, but each take one if you want.
Our capital improvement work is only looking at really big projects like Township Hall expansion or, I think we've had roads on there.
Cemetery.
We don't get into buying computers or things like that.
Right.
That are low items, only like 5,000 or more. I just want to figure out. It's the big things and we don't have that much.
So we can get together about that in the next day or so,
I'll be here tomorrow, see Tom.
okay?
Here.
Does that answer your question for now?
And the Appropriations Act, do you have a draft of that?
I have a draft of it, but, it all hinges on okaying these numbers.
Okay.
We wanted to get these numbers right, Brooke, and done, and then type that document up with the correct figures in it. And Ames, do you want to address the 16 grand?
I'm not sure what she's asking.
You're transferring $16,000 from the general fund to the cemetery fund.
We are.
Requesting.
Can you explain that, please?
Yeah, you know what it's for. It's for the, proposed salary for my taking some money now for doing all the salary or all the work at the cemeteries.
So you're proposing to pay yourself $16,000 for your cemetery work plus the salary that you're getting?
Yes, that's what I'm proposing. It's a board decision.
Oh.
I mean, as being part of the budget, I have listened for many years with discussions on there being payment for extra duties. And this is the first time we've shot over the bow with something, because all of you, if you're doing extra stuff.
A few months back, I brought to the board a couple of things that were very small and nominal. And you didn't think that was. I should be
What we're
asking.
trying to do is get job descriptions
Okay.
And so that we could take this step by step
Do
until
you
we
have a
had
job
jobs.
description then for the cemetery?
Actually, you wrote me one, in 2017, I think.
Do you have that to share with the board?
Yeah. But, it's not approved. It's not something, that we're gonna,
So shouldn't we approve the job description prior to your salary?
well, just because we budget for it doesn't mean that it's gonna happen. But we have to get the budget done. I would have preferred to have the job descriptions done 6, 8, 12 years ago. I actually brought up job descriptions in the minutes from 2013, saying we needed to get these done. It gets put off and it gets put off and it gets put off. And when I asked you to please list all the ones that were extra, you didn't, you said, I'm done. I'm not handing in anything else. That's what I'm doing. And you only listed your statutory ones.
And I also gave you quite the packet for the other two duties I was doing.
I'm sorry, I'm probably an idiot. Remind me what you're talking about.
That's fine. It's fine.
So
I don't have that information. I wasn't prepared. If you would like us to be prepared, you need to let us know. I mean, that's part of when you prepare the agenda. Maybe help your board members out so they can be prepared.
Isn't it in here?
What in where?
Salary for a manager for the cemetery, isn't
Yes,
it
you
in the
put it-
budget?
Yes, you put it there.
Okay, so I did prepare you. This is the place that we sit and we discuss it. I'm sorry I didn't prepare you better. I don't know exactly what you're asking for here. We have to talk about concepts about this first. I've been trying to push this for a long time. You can't say that I haven't. Have I not tried to talk about job descriptions? Because there's the statutory ones and then there's what really happens. Are you going on your phone now and,
I'm using my calculator.
okay, I just didn't know if you were, what we were doing.
Proceed.
The rest of the board, you need to help me out here. What do you want to do about this?
Would you have brought up to the board tonight of what that 16,000 is for if it hadn't been brought up?
Yeah, I would. I'm
didn't
trying
hear-
to find it. I'm a little rattled here,
I
but
didn't hear anyone bring up, oh, by the way, we wanna put.
well, we haven't gotten to the cemetery fund yet. We're
Okay,
still on the
that's what I'm trying
general
to
fund.
get at, is that I wasn't prepared for, we were gonna transfer $16,000 from the general fund to the cemetery fund. And if we were gonna do that, what was it for?
Right, and it's in the budget what it's for. It's a line item.
Okay, well, I guess we haven't got to that point yet.
Right, right. Here is the draft budget appropriations act, so it's all ready to go to fill in the numbers. I didn't hand that out because it's not, the numbers are being decided right now as we speak. And then I'm trying to find the job description, because that is, as I say, what you did for me a long time ago. Do you remember the occasion? You wanted to hire, instead of having a long time ago, I tried to make it so that when we had this problem of too many jobs in one officer's basket, I said, let's make it official that we take the cemetery off the clerk's shoulders and put it on the supervisor's shoulders. And we wrote that into the ordinance. We said the supervisor is in charge. And
I
then
don't
you
remember
objected
that.
to that later.
I don't remember that being discussed, but go ahead.
How long ago was it? It was a very big thing in 2017, and you said, I want supervisor taken out of the ordinance. I want it changed to a cemetery administrator or designate. And that you actually had a resolution
Right.
that said, let's hire this out. And then
I think,
subtract $12,000 from Amy's salary.
The reason being is that unbeknownst to the board and to anyone else, you had made 36 edits to the cemetery ordinance. So, yes, I was a little upset that someone of your position and years at the job would know that you shouldn't do that. So I was quite upset. And yes, I still think $12,000 is a better figure. It's basically and yes, hiring it out, I thought would be a much better way to go rather than having a board member or the clerk or anyone else doing it. That way, it's not a political position. Whether an officer comes or goes, it's a job that will get done. And, yes, so you're right. I did do that. I think. it
Okay,
was
so
17.
you know what you just did. You tried to combine two things. You're trying to slur that I did something to the ordinance,
You did.
36 things. Yes, I
That's
did.
why
We
we
went
had,
through all that.
that's why we had to do a new ordinance, basically, is because.
And I absolutely went down the line, and half of those things, if not 2/3 or 3/4, were just typos that were either reworded or corrected.
And you
So
changed, you
this-
added
There
and
was
deleted
one place
paragraphs.
that substantively, it was
It
changed.
doesn't matter. I
And
mean,
all, you brought
know
it
that-
up, ma'am.
you-
I'm trying to say that there are two different issues here. If you want to rehash that whole thing, the only reason that I made the mistake is that when I was seeing those things, working with it every day, I did the second draft. And that's what got printed by error. We've been through this. And then we immediately
All right.
corrected those things.
I do think that the $16,000 is a bit exorbitant.
Are we done? Are we done with the ordinance thing? It's not gonna come up again?
I have no guarantees. Go continue.
So, and you just said, so the 16,000 is exorbitant? Okay, any other comments about it?
Not at this time.
Okay, you did just say that you did believe that it should be a separate job though.
I do.
Okay,
And
so,
none of us should be performing it. Not you, not Judy, not I, no one. I think a separate person, it should be hired out.
well, why?
And I just explained that. So it would be a
Political, you
It would
said?
be a non-political position. It wouldn't be tied to our terms. I just think it would. it
And
would
yet
work
you,
better.
and yet you wanted to get paid for the payroll. It's all business that the cemetery is part of the township business. It's not made up, it's not
I understand
extraneous.
that.
Can I say something?
Go ahead.
Okay. I think it would be really tough to find an outside person to come in for $12,000 a year.
Well, we could
It's a
advertise.
lot of Saturdays and Sundays and holidays.
If you're a waitress, you're working those days.
You are, and you're making a lot more money than $12,000 a year. I just think it's a low ball to get a clerical position that has to be on site in the cemetery for 12 grand a year. It's a lot of paperwork, a lot of tracking. And you've got somebody here that knows that cemetery inside and out. And you take that away from her just to make a point. It just doesn't make sense. Pay her a little money to do it.
Are you making, just making a point, that's it, that's all you're doing? I don't, that was the question I had, I don't really think that.
Well, you're welcome to that opinion.
Thank you.
We tried to figure out how many hours. It's almost impossible to figure that out.
Yeah.
We also tried to compare it to the zoning administrator, to the airport manager's job, which is what, 36 to 40,000? You know, how many hours does Dick Bear put in and how many
It's
hours?
also responsibility too.
And so is the cemetery. So, you know, it's very hard. I think just us bringing up these differences, you know, how do you decide what a position is worth? How do we decide that we are only worth $25,000 and our, someone that's in a unionized government gets the hell of a lot more? You know,
So let's get back on track.
Yes.
okay, Doc or Judy or Bill? Any ideas
Where
about
are
this?
we? Are we still on the general fund?
Yes, we're still on the general fund and she wants to know what's going on, but You can
So
comment
do
on
you
that or
want
any other
to-
thing about the general fund.
Are you going to make a motion to have these supported, to move forward? I mean, how are we going to?
We're gonna go through all these things and make corrections like Judy just did to the wages and so forth. And then we're going to say, we tentatively agree, and I write this up, and then we set a budget date, hopefully just before the next meeting. And we present this and vote on it then.
But you want the four of us to meet too.
Yeah,
So
just to make
do
sure.
we need to make a decision tonight on any of
Ours
this?
is more clerical than money wise.
Okay,
We can meet in March. It is nothing to do with the numbers we're
Okay.
looking at.
all right.
It's more organization and clerical. So ignore the person behind the.
So what else in here, any of the other cost centers? So your salary, we didn't talk about salaries. You think we should raise our salaries?
I think Judy needs, her salary needs to be increased. She didn't do it when the election workers were increased. Other township clerks increased their salaries. So definitely Judy's needs to be increased for this next year.
What are you seeing other townships do? Have you?
They are, well, this last month or so, I think their salary increased by 2,000.
I talked to the Lake Township clerk at
Okay.
training last week. And initially, she had asked for an extra 1,000 per election to cover the early voting additional work. 500 for for this election, 500 for January and 500 for February. But then the MTA thing came out, so they backed off of that. But the board, Lake Township is going to increase her salary in their next budget to accommodate that, but I have no clue how much. So
No clue on percentages or the amount they're throwing there.
nobody has given us any numbers, if you will.
Brooke, what do you think the trend is?
As I said, it should be at least a couple of thousand. I'm not going to increase my salary.
Rick, Bill, you have opinions on this?
I've seen you work at the library, at the cemetery, and I know, but, you know, and I was surprised to find out you weren't paid for it. And I think that you deserve a wage for it.
Any opinion about raising your own salaries?
I don't know.
No, I mean, I think the clerk can make a good point. We can make a good point to raise her salary the upcoming year, but I think everybody else should just stay the same.
Okay, any other opinions about the clerk salary? Like the clerk, what is her opinion?
Well, especially with the increases that have taken place with the changes in the voting thing. And more time involved and stuff like that. Absolutely, I think that you need to be paid.
By what percentage did we raise the election workers? Anybody
I
got?
have that with me. The election inspectors went from 1853 to 20.
Okay,
The precinct board chair was 19 something and another 25.
Sandra, do you remember what we did on
I
election
mean,
workers?
is it still posted over there what they were before?
I don't think it's.
Just take
I don't think so.
1853 and divide it by.
It's a story problem.
Percentage.
But I still would like to hear your opinion.
At least whatever, the cost of living is 3.2%. Maybe if we just choose that figure to, I don't know,
To raise
I-
everybody's?
I don't know, maybe that could be the figure to use to increase the clerk's salary to cover the early voting.
That's $825.
Oh, I don't know, what do you think,
Well,
Sandra?
we have 3 elections this year, one will be a different, one for budget, 2 elections per budget year. 24, 25, 32. That's 18 extra days that the clerk will be required for.
This
That'd
is
be more-
really difficult.
So those
I
are,
know.
so what's 18 times, 18 days, times 8 hours, how many hours?
And I understand that it's one of my statutory duties.
$25 an hour. which
The
is,
early voting was not part of the original elections statute. That's what one of the clerks mentioned
What's that?
last week.
3,600.
I'm fine to stay
That's what I,
where I'm at too. I'm just throwing it out there, okay?
I think I need to say this as nicely as possible. We need to get you doing all the work. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do,
For what the 27 is now,
yes.
we need all 3 aspects of your job being done.
I know. So,
this is the position itself, not the person. What is the clerk's position for, with the added
yeah, not
9 days
me,
of?
the clerk's
Right.
office.
That's how I'm looking
I would do
at,
the
that's how I'm
36
looking at it.
Okay,
Clerk, treasurer,
Yeah.
supervisor.
yeah,
So I have a question. I mean, I know it's a public comment. but
Is it okay with everyone else that
public
he asked?
Talk.
Yeah.
I have a question on the inflation cost because for the board of review, it's maxed out at 5%. It's 5.01%, and you just mentioned 3.2% cost of living.
Yeah.
So what is the cost of living?
I don't know, I Googled it.
Actually, it's not the cost of living, it's the cost of living or 5% of the,
Right, but it did the max. It was.
yeah, because
The assessor said it was 5.01. So then you said 3, so
it's
it
because
should be
the,
at least 5%. You know, and I was on the board in the past and we would go with the cost of inflation every year. But you're asking for a certain position, that's different, but I think 5% probably gets over $1,000.
Yeah, it's only $1,300, which divided
1,500?
13. Divided by 144 days, hours, that's $9 an hour. You're gonna have an additional 144 hours of election work. And if we only raise it by 5%, you're getting short of $10 an hour.
I just think it should be the same as hourly wage of the supervisor of the elections or, which takes about 3,600.
I'm still worried about, I know what you mean about it should go with the office, but
That's my point. Personally, I can just stay where I'm at, but that's me.
That's because you're feeling bad about this discussion. And you're not stepping outside of the clerk role.
True.
It's always hard to talk about money for yourself. But the election is an additional 144 hours. We all get that there's part of the clerk hat that isn't being done by Judy. The election hat is being done by Judy. And there's an additional 144 hours of election work.
True.
Thank you.
So that should be, is it considered a separate job? Or is it part of the clerk's job?
It is part of the clerk's job.
So it's, I guess it's a,
That's why
board set up, I would go with the average of what the other townships are doing.
And I don't know the answer
As
to
a
that.
suggestion, $2,000 is brought up, it sounds like more. If other, that's what you took a survey and other townships are giving their clerks a raise, that's what I would recommend that Judy gives.
And maybe we table that until,
Can't table.
Well,
You gotta
you're
do
doing your
budget.
budget now, so.
you can do the budget, you can amend the budget, and you can raise salaries later. You can.
I mean, just to check with other townships, like, check now.
And you gotta go with the townships that got the higher wages than that, and we're in the top 4. So I would go with the top 4 townships. as a suggestion.
The only person I've talked to is the Lake Township clerk.
And
so-
we can,
Well, I think it should definitely be part of the minutes, if we are going to table it, that the board is declaring they want to come back and visit this when they have more information on election salaries. I think hundred and 44 hours is a substantial amount of time.
It is, nobody's arguing that.
And that's just to be
Yeah,
here
that's
for early
just-
voting, that
correct.
doesn't count the extra training you've had to take and things like that. So
Okay.
they do pay, township does pay for your training,
the training was free,
but they.
but I'm getting a mileage reimbursement.
Then a charge.
I guess.
Okay, is that what we're doing then? We're tabling it?
I would recommend you increase the clerk's salary by $5,000 a year. And keep the rest the same. And the only other choice would be to increase, if you're having trouble getting election workers, we need to increase their hourly rate more than we already have if we're having trouble getting them.
So far, we're not having any
All right,
trouble.
well, then that may not be an issue, but I mean, I think you need to look at that because that's a lot of hours you're asking them to work. And if you can't get them, you better pay them more.
What do you feel about Amy's, request for her being paid for her job?
That's a separate issue altogether. You're talking about it across the board. I'm saying for the budget purposes that we increase the clerk's salary by 5,000 a year and we make no changes for trustee, treasurer, or supervisor at this point. Because you just got a 9% increase last year.
Then, this, I don't think we're talking about,
Right,
yeah, the cemetery thing is separate from the supervisor's job.
right, exactly.
So, okay, so I guess we're tabling it. Going back to the general fund, tell me what, anything else, any numbers whatsoever? Road fund, you looked at it,
Well,
what
I don't know where you put Marquette Court and Birchwood. Is that in last year's or
I
this
thought,
year?
I thought it was this year.
Well, we're gonna spend it this year, but we approved it last year and I don't know where it ends up in the budget.
No, we approved it in this fiscal year.
We approved the
Well,
estimate.
yeah.
But
in the
the
last
actual,
calendar year, like Amy said, this fiscal year, the Marquette Court and then that stuff got approved in this fiscal year.
Right.
Right. Okay.
Not the new one.
but is the money gonna be spent in
What
the
the money-
2024, 25?
I don't know, he needs to
Well,
tell me.
that's what I'm bringing up. I don't know the answer to that.
Probably not.
Until,
We are not gonna get a bill.
that won't be done until,
Wait a minute, guys, we gotta,
We are not gonna get a bill for Marquette Court and that until probably October of 24.
okay. So does that mean that we should,
I don't care much about budgets, to be honest with you. I've always said that all along, so I don't care where you put it.
You just want to see the money there.
The
When
money
you
has
need
to
it.
be there.
okay, so what was the amount?
Well, we approved it last.
Wasn't it less than 5,000?
No, it's
2,500?
10,000.
It was over 10,000.
I thought the road commission said 25,000.
Put
We
25,
should put 25,
put 25.
just,
Okay, that's going to be under expenditures
What the hell is high?
in the next budget, in the next fiscal years, everybody agreeing to that?
That's fine.
And it says other services and charges, is that where we're putting it? Or is it capital outlay, road surfacing? So right now it says road surfacing, the budget is basically $150,000. I'm sorry, this year, we're not gonna spend that. So how much do you want me just to put 25 for next year?
Sure.
Anybody else? Yeah,
I
Bruce?
just have a question, if we decide to say do, how much money is in the millage total?
You mean how
We
much
have a
do we have
chance to
in the
do some
pool?
tire and chipping and we could do like 10 miles at 32 or, $36,000, say at the high end to do a mile of tire and chip. how much money do we have in, I understand we might have 500,000.
Well, and you're saying if we
By the
don't
end of-
spend $14,897, it goes away.
Right,
Right,
and that
yeah,
can
got
go
it, we have
towards
to
that,
burn that fast.
yeah, we can spend it all.
But are you asking how much money we have, like, just sitting in there in the road bucket,
In the millage money, I
in the
know,
millage bucket?
yeah, I know what's in that special force, that is $45,000 now, we can spend that all
It
on
would,
anything.
it would appear that we started the beginning of this year with about $325,000.
In the road,
You know,
in the road millage.
That's what it
bucket.
says, yes.
and so I wanted to know this for the committee to decide if we wanted to do the whole amount of money on township this year while the price is where it's at. If we
Yeah,
decide to
You're
do
gonna have
that.
to come to us.
Right, right.
Yeah, well-
Well, that's why I wanted to know how much money we got to work with, if we want to spend it up, because we also have a millage coming up to renew this fall. I mean, we're gonna have to go in the process to do that, and that's what we're in discussion now.
Yeah, I reached out to
So
that and
We don't have to say, I mean, we can come to you and then take the money out of the millage money anytime we want.
yeah, we
We
can
may
amend
have
the
to make a
budget.
decision here in a month, how many miles we're going to do, but we don't have to put that in the budget to specify what we're doing, but yeah.
This would be, because we wouldn't be doing it until the next fiscal year. The same reasoning we just put 25,000 for those 2 aprons.
Yeah, but that's not coming out of the millage money, that's coming out of the.
No, but the very fact that it's not going to happen and the bill won't come until the next fiscal year, we're moving it to there. So if you do come up with tar and chip and so forth, you need to tell us, and we would have to
Yeah, but
either amend this budget before or after April 1st. In other words, we can
Let us know
amend
that
it
we're gonna
before we
use-
get it approved by the public. Or we'll have to amend it after the fiscal year starts, if you come up with new numbers and new reasons to amend that budget.
well, it would be using the millage. See, now we're ahead, because we didn't use the money, we were always in the rear a year. Now we can pay on time.
And it looks like out of the 25,000 for those 2 aprons, it looks like 15, 14
Right,
will be paid for.
That'll come out, that you can take out of that special money
Yeah, so we
that comes from
burn
the road commission every year.
The road committee.
I did check on the clerk
Is
like
not
that
met.
is not in QuickBooks, that's only in your report.
Our last meeting, the last time we discussed it, the local road committee, we decided to do nothing until next year, till this year, until after the winter's over. So we haven't changed our mind as far as I'm concerned.
Okay,
So there will not be any further expenditures on chip and seal, as far as I'm concerned.
not this fiscal year, but we're talking about
2024.
after April 1st.
yeah, but you said you need our like report as soon as we can, like, I guess what all I'm trying to get around to, like, right now, we can't even literally see the pavement. So, I mean, it might be a month before we even get to drive around, you know, and
It
see
won't be
stuff.
until April.
Right.
You know, after.
So-
So it looks like I'm just making this correction of 25,000, and that looks
Right,
like it's gonna be it. Yep.
Could
We
you-
can,
yeah,
if
could you set
somehow
that?
we change our mind, we can always amend the budget.
Not an issue.
Okay, and now, how about the fire fund?
The fire fund, you know, that's probably gonna be up 10 or 15%, probably. We have a meeting in 10 days. But even that meeting, they only come up with an estimate of what they would, it has to be approved in July by the Frankfort City Council. So even that's just an estimate. But I think you just put
So,
down,
so you're putting your mark of okay on what's here
well,
as an estimate?
well, I think we probably, we have what, 0.65, is that what we have,
Yeah,
right? Well, I think you probably ought to put 0.7. Or we'll have to amend it if they decide they want more stuff.
well, yeah, we would have to resolve that. I mean, we would have to, if somebody would move it, we would have to.
Right, then why
during the-
bother, just put it at 0.75 for now, in your budget. It doesn't mean we have to spend it. If they only send us a bill for 130,000 and 0.65 is enough for that, then we don't need to actually raise it to 0.75 for tax purposes.
I guess I didn't understand that.
Well, you,
Did you?
when you do your budget, you
I'm not
usually
hearing
go
it.
over anyway. To make sure you got enough money and don't spend it.
You like pat,
The,
you pat it extra.
Yeah, you want to
like we
make
always do.
0.65 may not be enough.
Well, we don't just arbitrarily change that number, though. We have to do it officially.
Well, you change it to
But we can budget
0.75,
for
but you
it.
budget for 0.75,
Yes, we can.
and it
That's
doesn't
what he's
mean you
asking
spend
you
it.
to do.
That's what I said. I didn't understand, Brooke.
Cause he did mention something about 10% increase when he was talking to you.
Yeah, Mike,
Chatterfield? or
Yeah.
Just, what is?
I want you to tell me, look at this and tell me if there's, you want me to change any of those numbers.
What's on the, I don't have it in front of me, what's on the number now?
I can't run and do that for you. I
Is
mean,
it for roads?
No, we're on
I
fire.
want fire.
And
We already did roads.
we're done.
Our expenditures. 129 might not be enough. Because we don't know what.
If you want me to change something, tell me.
Well, I mean, I think he probably should bump it up to 140 or something. So we have a cushion. None of this matters. I mean, we have to, later in the year, we are gonna, the amount of money we have in our fire fund has already been determined. We just collected it in February 15th, right? So we know what's in there, but we don't know what our costs are gonna be next year or the end of this year, because Frankfort hasn't even voted on a budget yet.
Right, this
So
happens
we
every
need a
year.
cushion. What if they ask us for 140 and we only got 129, what do we do?
If you added 10%, it would bring it up to 141.
Yeah, above. Yeah, go ahead.
But compared to last year,
Yeah, 10% above last year, at least. As I said, 140, 129 to 1.
we
Well,
budgeted 100,000 last year.
129 is proposed.
Yep.
Oh, that's a proposed, yeah, okay, well, and that's fine. I don't know why you care whether it's 110 or 120 or 130. What difference?
I'm going to the people who run that committee and telling you that you need to give me the numbers that you see fit.
All right, I'll give you 130.
Fine.
do I hear 130?
Doesn't make any difference. Just a number you put down on your little sheet.
Well, if it makes no difference, then why did you change it?
Because I don't know, I can't tell you, they might increase it by 50,000.
Then we're doing our job. We're doing the best guess we
Well, that's what I
can.
told them, we'll raise it to 130, it's 30,000 higher.
Thank you.
All right,
How about cemetery fund? I'll tell you, I did have a discussion with the sexton and he said that he is raising his rates. For example, during the Monday through Friday period, $500 to bury a coffin. He's gonna raise it to $600.
Did we account for that?
No, because he just told me yesterday.
Okay.
So let's say that we take.
Wait, so is he gonna submit an invoice using the previous prices?
No, this would be looking ahead.
But he still hasn't given us an invoice for the work.
I know, that's why I called them again. To give you an idea, if we, had, let's say, the same as last year, he would be charging about $2,800 more if he did the exact same burials in the exact same times. It would cost $2,800 more to our customers than it does now. Whether we would also, because we do, we've had that bill and we take a lot. Whether we would raise those rates or not, we would need to discuss.
Did we just raise them last year?
No, I think it's been 2 years.
Okay.
I don't know, I can't remember. Does anybody remember?
Because I thought it was a pretty big jump for the customer.
Last year,
Couple years.
Has it been 2? Okay.
I think it was 2 years.
might have been.
The Sue was here.
I'll tell you what the jump was. It wasn't his prices. It was our prices that we jumped up. We took more out of the total bill than he did, and whether that was 2 years ago or 1 year ago. What I would do is, I would say, that we keep our prices the same. That column, for example, Mr. Jones gets buried Monday through Friday. It was $250 to bury cremains. He's gonna raise that $100 to $350. We charge another $500 for them to do it in our cemetery. And that's what's been building up a lot of our reserves and helping pay the bills. We could keep ours at the 500 and let the sexton take his raise.
Do you feel good about that covering things?
Yeah, I think it's, for now, I think it is. I think that, Doc doesn't like cemeteries and he wants them to pay for themselves, but it's just never gonna happen. And it's just one of those things, the government provides a service and,
Well, that's not true. That's what if we get a lawyer, we vote on a lawyer, I want that lawyer to decide whether it's legal for us to take money out of our general fund to pay for people that are non-residents, non-taxpayers in Crystal Lake Township. For the next 2,000 years, we have to mow the grass for them. It's costing us general fund money.
yeah,
Is that legal or not? I think it's not. I don't think we should be spending money for people that don't live here and pay taxes.
well, we can put that on the list and people can, on the board, decide whether that's something we wanna ask the lawyer and pay for. Any other questions about the cemetery?
So you're gonna adjust cemetery numbers,
And
and you've
this,
already done so.
no, I have not done so, but if I have permission from people, what I'll do is I will adjust it to approximate that, like I just said, if it was the exact same, it'd be 28. So I'm gonna raise it and round it off to, like 3,000.
Fine.
So. 3,500,
5,000.
oh, 5,000. So, and I will, if I've got your permission to do that, I will adjust those numbers.
For five?
Well, I don't know what, he's
We've gotta
telling me
look at
I
5.
mean, nothing's getting any cheaper, and
I will send that out to you though, and you guys can give me your individual, feedback on it, and then I will have this prepared for the meeting, the budget meeting for the public to look at. Okay? But I will get you all this stuff completed and cleaned up and all that. Okay, so now, is there any other questions about the budget? Okay, getting back to the regular, I gotta find my, here it is. After budget, we are gonna go to, elections, the equipment purchase, please.
Do you wanna go back to building and grounds since he's
Right,
here?
Oh, Brian, do you wanna do an update? I'm sorry.
30-second update.
Okay,
Okay, we had 2 resolutions you voted on last month. One was for a computer and for the zoning administrator, the other one was for that camera up there. They're both done.
30 seconds,
and
really.
it's not, we're live right now, right up there.
Look at the monitor.
What? Oh, man. now I see it.
Okay, so now elections, please.
Yes,
We got a ways to go here, so.
yeah, I know.
Roughy out there.
I contacted our election inspectors about their availability for, the presidential primary, early voting and election day. I've heard back from about 2/3 of the inspectors, and we've got a pool of about 20. So, I mean, if I had to go with what I know right now, we'd be fine. But I'm waiting for the county clerk to schedule training, both regular election training and early voting training. Because until the inspectors take the early voting training, I can't appoint them to work the early voting time. And she's so overwhelmed with all the election stuff and her regular duties that she's behind. And last week I attended, the train the trainer. Training for election. I know. Normally, county clerks and township clerks of municipalities that have 10,000 registered voters or more are the only ones that go to train the trainer sessions, but Tammy wanted all of us to go to kind of help
It's a different year.
her. But even though I went to that, I can't do the training and certify the election inspectors. Only she can do that. So, and we're having an election commission meeting, on February 2nd at 10 o'clock, and we'll appoint the election inspectors and do the public accuracy test of our 3 tabulators. And now that the security camera is in, I'm going to submit a reimbursement request for security related things that we've spent, for elections, like the doors and the camera. Lump it all into one. And then there's a resolution, we got, another, voter assist terminal. It's an upgraded version. And now we can print ballots on demand. We're not gonna use it at the February primary. Because we haven't had the ballot on demand printing training yet. But I'm hoping to use it in August and November, instead of ordering a whole slug of ballots. When a voter comes in, we can just print the ballot using this machine right then. So there's not a
I
lot
know, I
of waste,
can't
there's
wait for
not a
that.
lot of waste. So, we need a case to keep the printer and the new voter assist terminal in. So that's what the resolution is regarding. And I'm not gonna read all the whereases. Therefore be it resolved, the Crystal Lake Township Board approves the purchase of an image cast X prime voter assist terminal case from Election Source, cost not to exceed $1,000. I so move.
I support.
Any discussion? No discussion? Let's take roll call.
Nielsen,
Yes.
Pop,
Yes.
Ferris,
Yes.
Van Meter, yes, Northway.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Next is, any other elections before I catch you up?
Nope.
Planning and zoning, you've got the report. Tom isn't here. Anybody have any questions? It's pretty comprehensive. I love how he does this. It's very, very interesting, to read. Okay, moving along, the next thing would be the attorney, engagement letter. I only had my marked up copy, so that's why you have underlines and question marks and all that sort of stuff. But we're gonna just skip to the actual engagement letters intended to govern all the legal services that we may render the township unless and until the firm and the township mutually agree in writing to a different arrangement with respect to providing our legal services to the township. Should you have any questions, please do not hesitate to call us. If the township agrees with the above, please execute this engagement letter at the bottom on behalf of the township. We look forward to serving Crystal Lake. I think we already voted on this, but I just wanted to make sure, by consensus. Do you think I should move it and have this a resolution to sign this?
I thought we already voted on it, then.
I think we did, Judy. Do you remember that? Okay, so just by a show of hands, you all agree that I should go ahead and sign that?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. That's done. And then the attorney business list. I'll tell you what we have in mind. The airport and issues there. And then assessment was actually, she's already started. And she wanted to get this started, and I said, we haven't literally okayed this and signed the thing. And the guy said, I don't mind, I'll start with her anyway. So I know that they've had big discussions. There's a particular suit. It's Finley versus Curtis, something like that. So anyway, So it's assessing, it's the airport, and then we were gonna, top notch the Lakeview Drive ordinance. So has everybody agreed with those top three? Anybody wanna add anything?
Well, I think as part of it, the top three is that, well, as part of the Lakeview ordinance, there has to be, in that discussion, there has to be an enforcement mechanism that would apply to not only that ordinance, but to any ordinance we pass. So we need to, so somehow that's near the top. I mean, you know, how do we, whether it's fire, or not fire, but whether it's fireworks or light or whatever, you know, we need an enforcement mechanism so we can educate our enforcement officer on how to proceed. So if we end up going to district court, we do it the right way, we may get a successful outcome.
I hate to throw a monkey wrench into the works here, but when Tom and I talked to this lawyer and we told him all the background to Lakeview, he goes, the court has no authority to make you guys write an ordinance. It's like, oh my God.
All right, well, the
So
problem.
anyway, just to let you know, and then yes, the enforcement is
Well,
right up
That's
there.
why we need to stick with this law firm and ride the horse for a while and see how they do. If a year from now, we're not getting anywhere, but we have to follow their legal advice, and if they do have 100+ townships, hopefully they've been exposed to this in the past, and they can help us out to get where we want to go.
I hope so.
So you'll send that engagement letter to, and then.
I will, and I'll tell them what the top three things are with the enforcement being
And
the
then before we go
umbrella
any
issue
further,
over it
I
all.
wanna know, can we authorize, who is allowed to talk to the lawyer?
We already have something on the books about that. We can bring it up again, but probably not 8:45 on a
So
snowy
I
night.
just wondered whether, you know, I never did get back to, Tom about whether he asked me whether he could talk to this guy, and I said, I don't know.
Yeah, right now, that is on the books, that he can.
Okay, as long as it's.
So probably half our issues are zoning issues, so. Okay, the next thing is, the job descriptions. We're running out of time here. Do you wanna just postpone this and have people read these better and come back with questions, or you and I are gonna meet and just hone our job descriptions?
I thought you both did a good job.
Thank you. Additional duties, I finally found, and would you like me to distribute what you wrote up before?
Oh, is that the cemetery?
Cemetery thing, yeah. I can send that out. The calendar, the days closed. We had to smush it all onto one page. We'll probably, for the poster's sake, stretch it out into some larger piece of paper so that people can read this. But, I'm gonna move that we accept the, proposed offices closed calendar as presented. Do I have support?
Yes.
And any discussion?
You wanna consider making that large enough so that when you drive through the parking lot,
Yes.
you can, without getting out of your car, see the dates?
Yep, yep. We did add a couple, like the Juneteenth day, and we also added, of course, all those 9 early voting days. Crazy, but that's what we're dealing with. Okay, can I just take a straw vote here, or not a straw vote, a hand vote? All those in favor of adopting that calendar, say aye. Aye. Thank you. The March dates are written down there. If you can avoid being in the office during those times for Board of Review coming up, I'd appreciate it. The next thing is the mileage rate. Crystal Lake Township Board now resolves at the beginning, it's retro to the first of this year. Standard mileage reimbursement rates for the use of the vehicle for accepted township business, excluding, of course, commuting to and from the hall, from your home shall be 0.65 cents per mile driven. Can you bring it back like that?
0.65, that is 0.65. That's not a whole
65.
cent.
I'm
You-
sorry.
You need to write it as $0.0.67. Because the way you have it now, that's not even a whole cent.
So you want a dollar sign and you want a zero in the dollar space and 0.65.
She's right.
Seven, it's
She's right.
7. It went up to 7, so you've got two different,
Did I do this wrong?
Yes.
Did I do the wrong?
In the therefore, you've got 65 cents instead of the 67.
Oh, I didn't, I did it in the first paragraph, but not the second
Yeah.
one. Okay,
Yeah,
with that correction. Do I support?
yes.
Any discussion? It's money, so, you wanna take roll there?
Northway,
Yes.
Nielsen,
Yes.
Ferris,
Yes.
Van Meter, yes.
Yeah.
Pop,
yes.
Okay, and then, quickly, if we wanna talk about, contracts. I have already told Judy that, yes, oh my God, there's lots of, typos in there, but,
well, and
yeah,
the versions that are in the packets
yeah.
were just the first draft that I did.
Oh, no. Are you sure?
The packets that we put together Friday.
Cause
Yeah.
I don't have her do a packet for
I
me,
know,
because-
but-
okay. So should I send this out again?
Bill's, well, his are probably the first draft, just like mine were.
Okay. Is there a need for the board to look at these contracts? They're basically the same. Should I come back,
No,
or can I get these out when we start advertising for them?
I don't know what proper protocol is. I don't know what you've done in the past.
We've done both.
Okay,
Nobody cared at one point, so I just went ahead and wrote up the contracts and advertised. But we can do it. Tell me what you guys want.
Bring it up and win.
All right, and then Iron Man, last thing on the agenda. Any update?
Yeah, I think we're all, online for it. Judy and I have spoken with people at, Ironman and we're gonna be all set. I think it's the same route we had last year.
Same route, yeah.
Nothing changed.
So if anybody's interested, I can put this up on the board someplace, but it's available online, obviously.
Sure.
Okay, at this point, we need to, give public chance to speak again. Any public can't comment at this point?
Not a chance.
Bruce Walton, and just on the airport, when I was on the board, it was towards the end, we were talking about what we were to pay, and all I remember is it was $3,000 was kind of a thing that everybody should be paying something. I don't recall, it was over 13, over 10 years ago. But I think we had to come up with something that was $3,000 a year. Is that what we're paying now?
We're paying the 3,000 plus 12,000. So in
it's
total
changed.
15, right? Right.
So the question, was there a question this is not written down or?
Right, there
It's
isn't a memorandum of understanding between the township and the airport that we could locate. There's only the resolutions that were passed that summer. So there's that.
but I think the 3,000, it was the city that didn't have anything written down
That's what they
for that
say.
3,000.
So is
That's what
So a
the
resolution,
township does.
so a resolution is like law,
No,
or you have to redo it every year?
it's, I mean,
We haven't redone it every year. The original resolution was for 1 year. But then what we did is, most of the board wanted to keep doing it, so we just put it in the budget. And then you okay it through the budgetary vote. But we have not done another resolution since the original
So is the goal to get this all on legal
standings.
standings? Because, I mean, you really can't renege, but then somebody could come and say you need to. put
but the
so much
original,
more.
when, as I shared with the board last month, the agreement between the city and the county states that everything is voluntary. Everybody's financial input is voluntary. That's because of the type of. Yeah, so there's that.
Well, I guess what I remember is if we weren't paying for it, didn't want to pay for it, we were still liable if something was to
Correct.
go wrong, they still could come back and get money from us.
Right, last 20 years, yes.
Well, that's two different things. One was the voluntary is the 3,000 and the 5 and the 12,000. That's voluntary,
So who
but
has,
the fiscal,
Responsibility.
yeah, like, the biggest controversy right now is where is 1.8 million coming? I heard that it was due on the 17th. Is that true?
24th.
of this month?
And how is the airport authorities paying the times $1.8 million by the 24th?
Grant money.
Grant money?
What do you mean, grant?
The airport receives grants annually. So that's how that's going to get paid.
We get 1.8 million.
No, it's a payment program. That's what, it's a
They're not
8-year.
cutting them a check for 1.8.
No, I think the first payment's like $324,000.
See, that's what you need to tell us. We don't know anything.
It was in all that material that I gave you. I've been giving, you've had all of this information.
Well, I think
I
some
don't get
information
it.
may have come from a closed session meeting.
No,
They
the,
did that.
right, but no, all that information was made available. They have the payment plan.
Well, I saw the sheet that has all the grants. I did not understand that we're gonna be able to use all federal grants or state grants to pay off this.
Correct, but then that means the airport doesn't have any money for maintenance. So we did have a special meeting earlier this month to discuss alternatives to that. Which I can't discuss because it was with the attorney office.
Okay, any other, and board comment? All I have to say is that, I will schedule, the public budget meeting, if you wish, for just before the February meeting. If you want to postpone it to just before the March meeting, that would be fine with me.
I don't think we should do that. It's never been good for us.
We did it last year.
It's never been a good idea, but go ahead.
No, I would just give me your reason for not being a good idea.
A myriad of things can happen. COVID can happen. You can get hit by a bus. There's a lot of things. Spread it out. Please.
What would you prefer? Rick, what would you prefer?
Doesn't matter to me.
Judy?
The public hearing is designed to introduce the budget to the public and then give them time.
Right.
So if you
I
introduce,
agree. I said February, didn't I? I said, but we could, March. What would you
February.
prefer?
Yeah,
February.
Bill?
February.
Okay, how about 6:30 before the 7 o'clock meeting in February? Is it 13th?
Now, are we expected to approve that right after that?
You could or you could not.
What's, I mean, I think we should listen to the public and then have time another month or whatever to formally, after listening to them, make changes or not.
Okay. So I will call that special meeting.
Yeah, for a board comment, I would just say, I think the board should be copied on communications from our lawyer to the board. In other words, I assume you're gonna email and tell them that we have signed the engagement letter. And here are the 1 or 2 or 3 things we'd like you to look at.
Actually, why don't you do that?
No, it should come from the supervisor.
Well, no, I will sign the thing, but you're the one who has that relationship with them. Go ahead and call it and then or email and copy us. Would you do that, please? Say that we've approved it last night and that we'll
Well,
be getting
I
that.
told him we approved it 2 months ago.
Right.
And apparently, he sent a letter to us saying that he thought you should just sign it, and you didn't. And you never gave a reason why you didn't sign it.
Yeah.
I
Yes,
think
we
you
did.
should just do it, Amy.
I just asked him to do it.
I know,
he said
and I
that
don't think that's a good idea.
you do know that you were involved with all that, Rick. It wasn't like you had no idea. Remember, we said we wanted to negotiate terms and talk to him about the bill, and you said, okay, you and Tom do that. You were part of that. That's why we postponed it. We were hoping for better terms with the price. Didn't happen.
No, I said at the time that I had tried to talk about a retainer fee several occasions with him, and he said no.
I know.
So.
And Tom thought he could talk to him. We talked to him, didn't
Tom
happen.
didn't say he was gonna talk to him.
Yes, he did, right here. He said,
No,
and I talked to him and we
he
said,
came up
yeah.
to me after the meeting and I told him that he was not to talk to the lawyer until the board approved it. Signed the engagement letter and we never did. Anyway,
Okay, any other comments at this point? It is 9 o'clock exactly. Thank you very much for coming, everybody. I appreciate you.